Hi, welcome to chapter 3. This is the last chapter of unit 1. So once you finish this one, you are done with the foundations and are ready to start on the clinical material in unit 2. Chapter 2 was about how to stay in the work for the long haul. Chapter 3 is about how you stay safe in this work and how you keep your client safe and their baby safe alongside you. Here is the framing I want you to hold while you read this chapter. Safety is not the boring, bureaucratic part of doula work. It is the foundation that makes everything else possible. You cannot support a client through a 14-hour labor if you're contagious and have exposed her newborn to a respiratory illness. You cannot hold a room steady when a hostile partner is escalating if you've never actually thought through what de-escalation actually looks like. And you cannot protect yourself from a bloodborne pathogen exposure if you do not know what to do in the 2 hours after it happens. The whole chapter is one commitment expressed in different situations. Protect the doula, protect the client, protect the baby. Those 3 protections are not separate things. They are the same thing. There are a few places in this chapter that I want to flag for you. Things you should really know cold, not just generally. The first one, universal precautions. Universal precautions means that you treat all blood and body fluids as potentially infectious, regardless of what you know or think you know about a person's status. Many people do not know their own bloodborne pathogen status. Many positive results are not actually disclosed, and many infections are symptomatic. So universal precautions does not mean being suspicious of your clients. It means protecting yourself and your clients consistently, because consistency is the only protection that actually works. You will pack a doula safety bag with nitrile gloves in your size, hand sanitize, a surgical mask, and eye protection, especially if you're attending a home birth. You should bring a small flashlight and your backup doula's number. The contact for the post-exposure coordinator at your local hospital is also a good idea to have on hand. The bag should travel with you to every birth. Don't leave it in the car. This one comes with you. The second place I want to flag is HIV. You will likely in your career support clients who are HIV positive. Some of them will know, some of them will receive that news at a prenatal appointment, maybe with you in the room. Here's the most important fact in this section, and the one that you need to know cold because it's going to bring real comfort to women who are genuinely terrified. With consistent antiretroviral treatment during pregnancy and appropriate birth management, and if you treat the newborn, the risk to the mother to baby of HIV transmission is less than 1%. Less than 1%. Let that sink in. It's one of the most remarkable achievements in modern medicine, and it's not widely known. A client who receives that HIV positive result during pregnancy might be terrified that her baby's definitely going to be infected, but what she needs to know is that's not true. With the right treatment, it's almost certainly not. If she gets the news in front of you, your reaction matters. Listen without a change in your expression and provide accurate information. Affirm that this does not change your commitment to her birth, and then you keep showing up for her exactly the same way you would have if she didn't have the diagnosis. And one more thing about positive diagnoses. HIV status, Hep B, Hep C status, all of it is protected health information. Disclosing a client's diagnosis to anyone, including her partner or her family without her explicit consent, is both a legal violation and a profound ethical failure. If someone asks, your answer is simply, I'm not able to share information about her medical care. If you have questions about her health, she's the right person to talk to. That's the complete answer. You do not have to elaborate. The third thing I want to flag, and this is the single most time-critical piece of clinical knowledge in the whole chapter, is that if you are exposed to blood or body fluid through broken skin or a mucous membrane, maybe a needle stick, and there is the possibility of an HIV or hepatitis infection, you have 2 hours to seek post-exposure prophylaxis called PEP. PEP. It's most effective when it starts within 2 hours. Now, it remains available up to 72 hours, but the effectiveness drops very quickly. So after 72 hours is not even offered. 2 hours is the target. So this is not something that you evaluate the next morning. It's something to act on now. So if it happens at the hospital, tell the hospital staff immediately and they will activate their post-exposure protocol. If it happens at a home birth, you can transport yourself to the nearest emergency room and they will tell you what to do when you tell them at intake. If you had an occupational exposure, you tell them, I had an occupational exposure to blood or body fluids and I need post-exposure evaluation. You can practice saying it before you ever need to say it. But remember, 2 hours. All right, so 3 more things in this chapter that I want you to know while you are still in training. First, when you are sick, stay home. The doula world has a heroics problem. New doulas feel intense guilt about calling back up, and some show up even when they shouldn't because they don't want to let their clients down. I want you to hear this clearly. When you show up to a birth while contagious, you are not honoring your commitment to your client. You are transferring a health risk to her newborn, who has no immune history, no ability to consent to that exposure, and no capacity to advocate for themselves. A fever over 100.4, GI illness within 24 hours of a birth, an active respiratory illness, active cold sores, pink eye, all of those mean that you need to call back up. Not a maybe, always. And you call back up as soon as you know you're sick, not when you feel too bad to go. The earlier you call, the more time your backup has to prepare, review your client's information, and arrive with confidence instead of urgency. Third, something that sounds small until it happens to you. You will be in a birth room or a home and someone, a client, a partner, or a family member is going to ask you to pass a message to the nurse or the midwife that is not true. Tell her I'm asleep. Tell her nothing happened. Tell her we don't need her right now. You cannot do that. Not because the rules say so, because clinical decisions rest on information believed to be true. A nurse who thinks a patient is resting may not check vitals. A midwife who thinks everything is calm may not come back for an hour. The clinical team can only do their job when they know your answer delivered calmly and without apology. I can't pass messages to the clinical team on your behalf. That needs to come directly from you. And then you help your client figure out what she actually wants to say. Second, after very long births, the research on sleep deprivation is striking. 24 hours without sleep produces driving impairment equivalent to a blood alcohol level above 0.10. That's above the legal limit for driving in every state. A doula who attends a 22-hour birth drives home in early morning traffic, has a serious car accident, and they haven't been careless. She's been physiologically impaired in a way that was entirely predictable and entirely preventable. If you are too tired to drive safely after a birth, you do not drive. Sleep in the hospital parking garage. Call someone for a ride. Use a share app. You sleep in your car in a safe parking lot until you are alert. None of these options are dramatic. All of them are preferable to the alternative. Build it into your practice before you need it. Have the rideshare app on your phone. Tell someone you might call them for a ride after a long birth. The plan exists before the situation does. One more thing, and I want you to hold on to this one. Your calm is an active intervention. This is not a metaphor. It's social co-regulation, and it's documented well in the research. When it walks into a room and is steady, breathing at a normal rate, speaking in a low and even voice, the people in the room begin to regulate toward her. A regulated doula lowers the physiological change in the space. It affects cortisol levels, it affects pain perception, it affects how labor unfolds. Every safety skill you build, knowing the 2-hour PE window, a hard moment, makes you a more regulated presence. Prepared is calm, and calm is clinical support. So read chapter 3 carefully, pack your safety bag, memorize the 2-hour PE window, make a plan for what happens when you are sick on a day your client goes into labor, and make a plan for how you get home safely after a long, hard birth. This is the last chapter of Unit 1. You've finished it, so take a breath. You've built the foundation. In Unit 2, we're going to start actual clinical material: pregnancy, physiology, the body, the medical system you'll navigate alongside your client, the work itself. I will see you in chapter 4.